Now we're going to do a super cool transition to argue with Reddit, and where we're going to put Nathan in the hot seat right now. So let's hop to it. There it is. Fancy. There we are. We're in new spots. That middle part of the screen has a lot of space for me to put stuff to react to, and this should be good.
Noticing that it's literally fire.
Literally fire. You're literally in the hot seat right now.
Wow. So in our regular arguing with Reddit section, whoever is going to be arguing, so me in this case, will have no prior knowledge of what's going to go down, essentially. So the other two people choose some spicy takes from Reddit about whatever topic is relevant to the person, and we present them live for the one person, in this case me, to react to and agree or disagree or feel indifference towards.
Right, exactly. And in fact, we're gonna as we move to the beta version, hopefully next week, and 2022 becomes the final version of this podcast, there's gonna be awesome stuff, including if you send us your own hot take, and it's truly a hot take, which we decide, and we really love your hot take, you can get what's called a perfect score. Double and a half entendre intended. I say a half because films have scores, so that's how I'm gonna attach it to me as well. And with that, you'll get a special Discord badge that we haven't made yet, but it will be awesome one way or another. Producer wife says the transition turned out really nice, and I'm happy to hear that. That is probably the least awesome transition out of them all. So hopefully as we go forward, it'll be even more awesome with audio and everything to go with everything. So yeah, without further ado, it looks like this will actually work out properly. I have not looked at what we're going to pull up yet. I don't know whose it is, but here's the first thing for you to react to. So there it is, huge on the screen. I can actually scroll through it myself if we want to look at the comments and whatnot. Look at that. Dynamic.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? Wow. It's cropped and everything. I can move it around. Awesome. But let's see what this says. So Ben, is this yours, or?
Yeah, this one is for me. I think. Okay. I'm trying to read it on my computer screen. It says trying to improve. Is that what it says? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I was thinking the original post itself, it is interesting, but I was mostly thinking of the very first comment. So this person is working on a multiplayer game, and the person says that he's not sure whether there's an issue with his game, because he feels like when he tests it with other people, he's so much better than everyone else. He destroys all of them, and he's not sure whether that just means that so he finds his game boring, and he's not sure whether that's because the game is boring or because everyone who's testing it on isn't good, like they're not good players in general, or they're just not good at his game. And the first comment here from top comment from Gigazelle says, if your game requires a bunch of skilled players in order to have fun, that's a huge red flag that the design of your game is deeply flawed. You might want to consider adding elements that challenge you while still being fun for everyone else. For example, an optional handicap that players can opt into in order to increase rewards. So that's the main thing. If your game requires a bunch of skilled players in order for someone to have fun while playing it, is that a red flag in its design?
No. I think what's more important is if it requires the player to succeed. Because if the player can still fail and have fun, that's okay, I think. There are plenty of games where you mostly fail because you don't have enough skill. Say some hardcore games like Dark Souls or like Jump King or something like that, where you're going to be failing consistently because you're not going to have the skill to progress because the game was just made to be that hard. And it's one of those. It's like the whole genre of like rage quitty games are like that, right? Where hopefully it's fun to fail.
We cannot forget Flappy Bird.
Oh yes, Flappy Bird, yes. Right. Hopefully it's still fun despite failing. Oh, actually, I think I misunderstood a little bit because he's saying. Is a problem if the game requires you to be skilled to have fun. I think he's making an assumption, though. I think he's making the assumption that the other players aren't having fun because they're Or does he say that?
Well, I think what he's saying is that this is a multiplayer game, and if the other people aren't as good as he is, it's not fun.
Interesting. I would wonder if it's because he's dominating the match, or because regardless of whether he's dominating or not, if everyone just sucks, then everyone's not having fun. Because it's the former where he's just doing better. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's like you just need to make it so that preferably your matches are ranked. Obviously, it's not very possible if you have a small player pool, but in a perfect scenario where you have infinite resources and whatnot to make the perfect game, I think that'd be fine. If it's that they're not having fun because they're too bad at it, but like has nothing to do with the fact that he's winning because he's better, I think it could go either way, right? I think certain games have certain audiences, right? For example, you wouldn't give like a 2-year-old Dark Souls, right? It's like they're not going to have fun because they're not skilled enough, right? And they don't have the motor skills to become that skilled. I mean, is Dark Souls a bad game for it? No, right? It just has an audience of people who are over 2 years old, approximately, right? So, I mean, and there are certain games that, you don't have to pander to the general audience. You can have a game that is for people of a great skill level. That being said, does that work the best in terms of like making a profit and starting your own game development studio or whatever? No, not really. If you're trying to do that, you want it to be something that be able to be played by a large population of people. It's like pop music, right? It's like, is it the greatest music? I mean, no. But are most people at least all right with it? Yeah, probably. Whereas it's a specialization, right? It's just a specialized game for special people. So yeah, I guess it depends. Yeah, that's my response.
All right, let's pull up the next one. See how smooth I can do this. Let's see. While I'm pulling up the next one, I'd just like to give a shout out to our awesome locals page. You go to mixedmedia.locals.com. You can go there and get a whole bunch of perks. Now, on the right of the screen there, it says rll.co/mixedmedia, but you actually now can go to mixedmediapodcast.com. There you'll find a whole bunch of perks, including getting your work reviewed. If you want just to hang out with us for free, we also have a Discord link in the description where you can submit these hot takes as well. And it's also just a lot of fun to be there and make a little community. All right, let's see if this will work out. I think this one is from Producer Wife. Oh, something I didn't mention was that whiteboard on the side of the screen, we don't draw on it often enough because I think that in of itself would be a good advertisement for it. I just think it's a fun thing because I've never seen anyone have like a community like space on like a stream or something where you can like literally draw. I think that's pretty cool. So that's a perk if you're on our locals page as well. Right now it's on sale until the end of the year for $3 a month. So it's normally $5 a month, so it's what, 40% off if I'm doing math correctly. So if you can check it out there. Oh, there it is. A beautiful blob to demonstrate the beautiful live capabilities. Yeah, arguing with Reddit. There you go. Yeah, so here we are. Our next hot take. Look at that. Smooth as butter. So this one's from Producer Wife, because I did not find this one. It says, multiplayer gaming is much better nowadays than it was in the past. And the reasoning is, gamers look at the past of multiplayer gaming with rose-tinted glasses and forget that it was actually pretty awful. Some games went back Some gamers want back season passes, forget that they are dreadful as they split up the player base, give paying customers an advantage. Sorry, I can't read right now. Over non-paying customers with better guns/equipment. Players would then get bored of the DLC maps and then revert back to the base game. Modern multiplayers nowadays only sell cosmetics, which is fine, as it doesn't affect the gameplay or give other player advantages. Modern multiplayer is also heading toward a focus on free-to-play, which is far superior than yearly releases and full-price broken games like Battlefield 2042 and Call of Duty 2021. Modern multiplayer still isn't perfect. Battle passes, I think is what they mean, shouldn't be time-gated, and paying players should still be able to earn the same rewards as non-paying players. I think as paying players is what they mean. So yeah, actually, when did 2042 release? Am I like, did I just completely recently. Not notice it?
Relatively recently, not like last month, was it?
Okay.
2042. Release date, November 19th.
Okay, interesting. I put a short out. I figured out how to get the shorts onto Instagram, and it was a short about 2042 in essence, and that was completely accidental. I did not realize it had recently come out. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it's hard to talk about the past since, like, I don't know how far in the past it's referring to, and at some point I may have not even been born. So, although I guess multiplayer gaming wasn't crazy big at that point, anyways. But even then, I could have been extraordinarily young. But I just talk about essentially difference in paying, like sales models, right? So currently we have things like cosmetics, doesn't affect any gameplay or give other players advantages. Whereas before, let's see, season passes. Although I never heard of a gamer who said they want season passes again. But, all right. And split player base, keep paying customers advantage over non-playing customers. They're gonna, yeah, okay. So yeah, I never heard of a want for season passes, but maybe I've just missed that. I never heard anyone say they want to pay for, like, I don't know. I've never heard the argument, hey, like, can you make me pay for like more content? I mean, people ask for more content, but I don't think specifically pay for it. But anyways, I mean, this is a very narrow lens of what multiplayer is, right? I mean, you're just looking at the sales model. There are a lot of other things with multiplayer to be concerned about, but I'll just limit it to just this for the sake of argument. Sure, I guess the fact that we've switched over to a mainly cosmetic sales model leads to better practices by companies in general. Does not mean that other sales are inherently bad, just that they can be bad, right? So this person references people paying for, or essentially pay to win, paying to get an advantage in a game. That has certainly plagued games, many of which I've played, and come to think of it, yeah, that hasn't really been as nearly as big of a problem recently because of the whole, like, paying for cosmetics and stuff like that, where many games purely just do that and live on that solely. And now that I think about it, that's a pretty whack practice, isn't it? Because I'm thinking about like games where you pay for a weapon, like a unique weapon, right, or whatever, assuming it's like an FPS, right? I'm thinking, I mean, the only reason why you buy it is it has some intrinsic like extra value, right? Which means it's just unfair. That's what I'm understanding. Unfair in some sense, right? I mean, there's an argument to be made maybe that it's like, okay, if you're playing it for free, essentially you're essentially paying for a worse experience, right? You shouldn't expect to pay less, or in this case, literally pay nothing, and receive the same experience as someone who paid more. So it's like, yeah, you paid for nothing, and essentially the service fee for using our services and using this software that took us a lot of money to create and a lot of time, you're paying in some sense by having to deal with people with OP guns every once in a while. Right. I've considered making an topical episode about the game APB Reloaded for a long time, and its failures. And the reason why I haven't done it is because it's a very big topic, and one of the problems is that there's pay to win, like straight up, very blatantly. Certain things are just way more powerful than anything you can get for free. And when I used to play this game, I used to play solely for free. I never bought anything. When you come to think of it, I got off pretty good when I think about it. Right, I got free content. I enjoyed it. I played it for a long time, despite the pay to win stuff. It's like, yeah, it happened every once in a while. It ruined the match, and maybe a bit sour for a moment. I just played the match and it's fine. I just forget about it. So essentially, I'm playing a downgraded version of the game. This is also kind of whack, even for people who bought the stuff though, because who's playing the best version of the game really? Right? If you paid for stuff, then you're playing an easier version, that's inherently you're always playing an unbalanced version, and that is not how it was intended to play, probably, right? And so you may find, it's like the idea of protecting the gamer from himself. The gamer might think, oh, if I have more wins, I'll have more fun. When in reality, that might not actually be the case. It'd be like, playing chess against, like a 5-year-old. It's like, is that really fun, actually? And when you say it like that, I think it's quite obvious that it would not be fun. You tip the scales a bit more in one direction with pay when where it's like, it's not literally that easy. You do have to put a bit more effort, I guess, than playing chess against a 5-year-old. So it might seem more fun to you, but maybe it's not actually.
You gotta be careful. I'm sure there are some really, really amazing 5-year-old chess players.
Perhaps. Some chess prodigies.
Yeah, no, people who are really good at chess, let them start really young. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let's for the sake of this example, let's move it down to 1-year-old. It's only a 1-year-old chess player. There we go, or a novice chess player, whatever. But yeah, I think this is a interesting topic. I haven't thought about too much, but on the topic of pay to win and who's actually winning and is it ethical and stuff like that. It's like I definitely disagree with this person's comment that he says, did I miss? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong spot. Modern multiplayer still isn't perfect. Battle passes shouldn't be time-gated, and non-playing players should still be able to earn the same rewards as non-paying players. I don't understand why there would be an equivalence between someone who literally pays nothing for free software and someone who pays for the development of the software. The person who pays essentially he's carrying you. You know what I'm saying? Like, without the person who pays, you would not even have a game for free, right? I think there is some bonus to be given to that person. If the bonus is a reward, comes in the form of a reward, which I guess that is the definition of a bonus. I think that's quite obvious. I don't think it's sustainable to have a game. Essentially, the only way this would be possible is if you're asking for pure donations where you get nothing back, right? Which is something that can happen. I've never heard of a game that has done this throughout the entire thing. You have things like Kickstarter campaigns where you ask for X amount of money and you say, I'll give you this game for this money. You're essentially donating to me to make this game. But oftentimes you'll get some perk for doing it. First off, like you'll say, on release, I'll give you this for donating, right? So essentially sort of buying it. And also, you tend to usually get the game like for free, for quote unquote free, which you paid for by your quote unquote donation, whatever. But you could, I guess, technically not have that clause and just say, you're giving me money, like you don't get anything from it. I'm sure this happened before, but I am almost certain the person then monetizes it afterwards, or else in a multiplayer setting, it's not sustainable to run servers forever like that. That's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, I liked your point, especially about the you're like guaranteed to make an unbalanced game. It made me think, what if you did that intentionally, where like all the plebes are zombies or something, but the people who pay are like, I don't know, killing the zombies. I know, I don't know if there's a fun game you could create like that, but that could be interesting.
Yeah, it reminds me of this game called Super Auto Pets. All right, that came out. Oh, not that recently, I guess, but it came out at some point. And they have DLC where you can buy more characters essentially. And the way it's framed, based on, I think I was reading maybe their Steam description or maybe it was an in-game thing. I can't remember. I was reading something. I found it interesting. The way they framed it was essentially that when you have the free version, you're playing the trial version. And most games do not frame it like that. They frame it as if you're playing the full version of the game, which is, this is once again, it's like, do you have the optimal version? Because if you have the optimal version, I guess this is the full version. And if that begs the question is why would you ever buy anything if you're already playing the optimal version? All right, aside from cosmetics, I guess I'm talking about things that include gameplay changes. But yeah, for Super Auto Pets, it just straight up says like, this is not the full version, which is not the mindset I had when I was playing it. It's like, this game is just fine on its own without the purchases, right? Which is interesting. But I figure the ye olden time practice of having gameplay changes is somewhat of a bad implementation of a trial version for the most part.
Makes sense.
Oh, one more thing though. I think just came to mind is like, I think there becomes a problem when you have people essentially bidding, competing for who can pay them more to get the most OP thing, right? So it's like, that's how you have the free tier, people who have all the, who are disadvantaged somewhat. Then you have this paid tier, right? There are people who are above that. This 2-tier system may work and may be fair in terms of what you're paying, but it might be odd when you have like a 3rd tier, people who can pay more. And it's like, okay, well now you ought to make it clear probably that the people in the middle tier who pay a little bit are still playing this, quote unquote trial version and are not assuming the top tier is the optimal version, because you don't want it to be something weird where it's like, essentially you're pay to winning people who pay to win, and it's like, all right, well, what's even like? Is this even like? At this point, it might just be like we're just trying to get someone, see who's the highest bidder, essentially, and that determines who wins. It is purely based on how much money you spent. And I think it often seems like this in a game like APB Reloaded, where most people don't spend money, and so like people, the singular pay-to-win person sticks out like a sore thumb because it's just the one person in the match, or occasionally two, because the rounds don't have like it's not like Battlefield sized. It's open world and has like a lot of people in a one world, but each match, it's hard to explain, but each match does not have that many people within it. So they really stick out like that. So it gets even more complicated if you have more than two tiers, and I think is more of a chance that you can mess it up and do things improperly, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense. Did you have one for yourself, Nathan? I didn't notice.
Was I supposed to?
Yeah, yeah, usually we do 3, I think. One for everyone, one for yourself. If that makes sense. But if you don't, do you have anything off the top of your head you would like to say? Anything interesting?
Okay. I was just saving this for news, but I guess I can react to it in some sense. I can say my take on it. It is the fact that Titanfall servers are shutting down, or I'm not sure if they have already. I don't think they have yet, but they will be shutting down if they haven't already at some point. If you didn't know, Titanfall is a movement-based first-person shooter, and essentially there's two of them. It's Titanfall 2. Titanfall didn't really make the greatest splash when it first came out, and Titanfall 2 has received pretty critical acclaim, and it's the first one specifically that is the servers aren't shutting down. It's being pulled from stores. You can no longer buy it. That's what it is. Sorry. The servers are staying up, which is somewhat odd. But essentially what happened is a hacker of sorts essentially took down the all multiplayer servers, pretty much. And I believe causing essentially unplayable amounts of lag, which is kind of insane to think about that. I guess unclear whether one person or not, but at least a group, either an independent person or a group of people, managed to essentially destroy a game, right? Just take it off the face of the earth, which is pretty wild to think about for a game of such scale, right? Titanfall is, I can't remember the studio who's behind it, but no, it's no small studio. They're also behind Apex Legends. Apex takes place in the same universe as Titanfall? ? At least
that's
if
what
not,
it said in the article that you posted.
What'd you say?
It said it takes place in the same universe in the article that you posted.
Okay, yeah. Sounds right. But yeah, essentially, I believe Titanfall 2 is also suffering similar attacks. There's like speculation as to who. Oh, developers called Respawn. Respawn also did Dirty Bomb, and they did something else I'm forgetting. That was also a movement shooter that wasn't as popular. But I hope Respawn did Dirty Bomb. I'm not wrong about that. But yeah. So yeah, I guess there's some speculations about what's happening. Like who's behind this? Is it a group? Is it a singular person? Some people speculate it's like an employee that was fired or something like that, who happened to work on the servers and understands how they work. Essentially, was able to DDoS it in such a way that Respawn is unable to fix it at this point. Yeah. So I guess the weird part is that the game is pulled from stores and the servers are still up, which is interesting because the servers are the issue, right? Now, it's worth noting Titanfall has no single-player mode, so the entire game relies on servers. They're very unlucky as far as first-person shooter goes. Most first-person shooters have some sort of single-player, at least of that size, have some sort of single-player mode, but Titanfall happened to deviate from that and paid the price. I mean, I don't think they should have had. I don't think it was a game that lent itself to that, but I think it's kind of funny that all the time, like, why does Battlefield have a first-person mode? And this one game that only has multiplayer gets shut down because it only has multiplayer. But so they're playing it from the stores. They essentially, people have been saying like, why are you selling this game? It doesn't work. Essentially, you're selling it at full price, or like maybe not full price, but a price that is not worth considering you basically can't play the game anymore. Have been criticizing them, and finally, after it's been many months, I can't even remember when this started, and it finally pulled it down. I wonder if Titanfall 2 will also be pulled down at some point. I don't know. Maybe they're just. I figure Titanfall and Titanfall 2 work on a similar server system, if not the same. So I figured if you solve one problem issue, the other one is solved as well. So I was going to say, like, maybe it's just that they're focusing the work on Titanfall 2 and just fixing that. But I would figure they would apply to both, but maybe I'm wrong. So I don't know. It's also odd how the servers are still up. They're paying for servers that are mildly functional. So it's certainly strange, but that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think it's a little weird too. Cool.
I mean, maybe they hope that they can get it, back online at some point, or like back functioning properly.
That's true. Yeah, maybe they just they leaving the servers up. Well, I mean, I don't know how many people are still playing Titanfall based on this issue, because if it's not a lot, then there's still. I mean, it's just more cost effective to take it down. But I guess if there's still people playing it, then I guess you might as well just leave it up, take it off the store, try to fix it, and then put it back up if necessary. But the original Titanfall is already like old enough where at this point people might like the population of people buying the first one anyways was probably extremely small. So maybe that's why. Maybe they just figure, people will still buy Titanfall 2 despite its issues, but no one's buying Titanfall, the original one anyway, so might as well just, save face a little bit, have people stop, being upset at us and just take it off the source.
Yeah. That's it for our game.
I don't want to cause no problems. I just want to live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but when you see imposters, we know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you want to talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you're walking your talk is constant.